Hi everyone, and welcome back to neilpois.com with Neil and Thomas. And today we are joined by a very special guest. It's Emma. Emma is here specifically because we are about to listen to Austria's song, which we believe is operatic. And Emma went to the opera school at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. So we might not be smart enough to comment on this, but she certainly is.
In theory.
So we thought we'd get someone who actually kind of knows what they're talking about for once. Like, on this channel, no chance. What? Anyway, before we get into the reaction of Wasted Love by JJ, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and press the notification bell. You can also go to neilpois.com for all the links to our social medias and everything else you need. But guys, I know, Emma, you've heard this. I've not heard this yet. Thomas?
Nope.
Have you?
First time.
Okay. So me and Thomas going in blind. Emma, our lovely expert, already knows what's going on and what to expect. I'm sure she's already got her opinions formulated. But let's take a look at Wasted Love by JJ. Oh, I wasn't expecting that high pitch.
I mean, it's an operatic song, Neil. What do you expect? I do really like this visual. It's like he's sitting on clouds or something.
Yeah. I like the melody, anyway. The lyrics seem nice and interesting. Ooh, okay. See, I'm scared to say anything with Emma here, but to me this seems impressive.
Yeah.
It's okay, don't be afraid, don't be afraid.
Oh, okay, we're getting some drama. I'd like the drama turned up a little more in the music. Oh, there we go, more drama. Yes. This music video is like he's auditioning for Titanic 2.
I know, I wonder why they filmed it.
This part sort of reminds me of the arcade video.
Oh, right,
Duncan
yeah.
Lawrence.
Ooh, ooh, fucking hell.
Ooh, it's picking up some pace, I think.
Oh!
Yes!
Oh, okay.
Oh my god, what is happening?
I'm here for this drop.
It's gonna a bit go A at some point, like.
It's almost
Wow.
like it was almost like an exorcism there as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Wasted Love by JJ, which will be representing Austria at the Eurovision Song Contest in Basel. But let's go to our expert, Emma. Tell us, what do you think?
So we kind of talked about this, and I'm going to try and be as open as I can, and I'm not going to be specific vocal discussions. I really do enjoy it. I think that it's a really interesting song. It's got some really good variety. The vocal is really beautiful. He's definitely a very talented singer, very talented performer, and I know is working at the Staatsoper at the moment in Vienna. one of the things that I have an issue with is I don't think he quite achieves the pop side of things as well as he possibly could. So I'm struggling a lot with his diction a lot of the time. In the verses, you can hear what's being said, but that's completely lost when he's using the more of the countertenor voice that he has. So that's my kind of both sides. I really enjoy it. I think it's great. I think it's a little bit copycat Nemo, but I love where it gets to, and I think it'll be really a surprise for a lot of people as well. They won't be expecting it.
Yeah, I always hate saying this because I know, Thomas, you've said this about a couple of songs as well, but I really like the last 30 seconds. Like, if the whole song was like the last 30 seconds, I would love it so much more. But instantly, this is an intriguing one. I want to ask you, just before we get going to Thomas, in the Copycat Nemo comment, is that more because it is the operatic, or is there something else in there that is making you think
It's definitely mainly the vocal style. But what I think Nemo achieved better was the cross genre. So being able to sing both in an operatic way and in a popular way, and then also doing the rap section.
Yeah.
Nemo really hit every single one of those fantastically. I'm not getting that. It's like there's an attempt of that, but Jojo doesn't quite have the skills in the pop side of things. Absolutely, definitely does as an operatic vocalist. He sounds incredible, but I'm not seeing the crossover as well.
Okay, Thomas, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of I do agree with what both of you have just said. Like, obviously, I have no knowledge of opera music, vocals, how to do. I couldn't even attempt at doing what he's doing, even if I tried to. For me, the vocal is very impressive, both the operatic side of it and the more poppy part of it. I think the issue might maybe be the fact that even in the poppy part of the song, he does really sing with a high-pitched voice. I also didn't expect it to be that high-pitched, in the sense that, I was sort of half expecting a sort of like Andrea Bocelli doing a pop song, rather than what's her name, Elena Nechaeva from Estonia a couple of years ago. So I was kind of surprised at the tone of his voice. I do really like it. I also agree with Neil that the last 30 seconds are really, really strong. It really gave me Go A vibes, and I was like, ooh, this is so good. It's so contemporary. For about 2 minutes, it's very slow, and it takes very long to get to that point. And I feel like maybe he could have added that beat somewhere halfway through the song, and then he could have dropped the beat again for a few seconds and then gone back to it at the end. So I think my point is just it takes a bit too long to get to that climax. I also agree with Emma about the diction. Like, when the chorus hits, it's very difficult to understand what he's singing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's repeating the title of the song a couple of times, so that's obvious. But the rest of it is very hard. And that's also a comment that I saw on Blue Sky a lot, where it's like, what is he actually singing about? It's hard to figure it out. For me, it also just lacks a little bit of extra instrumentation, but that just comes down to my previous point, where it's like it takes too long to get to the climax. I would have loved a bit more of a build-up. I don't necessarily mind the fact that the beat comes in so late, but I feel like the build-up towards it could have been bigger, it could have been better, it could have been grander. But put all of that aside, I think we're kidding ourselves if we don't think that this is a contender for the jury win. This is going to do very, very well. I think people are going to be really impressed by this. Televote-wise, I don't know how well it's going to do. I can see it getting a good amount of points. I'm not necessarily seeing a top 3 or a top 5 in the televote, but it's definitely a contender for the jury.
Yeah, I think definitely a contender. Is going to get some jury points for sure, just for the sheer talent on display. Like there's no disputing that. I think where the televote could get interesting for JJ is the fact that, you know, most people who are going to be watching Eurovision are not operatic experts, you know, and they will, like me, be like, wow, that's quite impressive. Like they might be like us a little bit at the start and be like, oh, he's starting really high and he's keeping that high like the whole way through, and find that intriguing and interesting. And sometimes it's that intrigue that can get you a vote, you know, from someone, rather than just being like, oh, this is good, you know. But if someone's actually finding it like interesting or something like that, it's more liable to get some points. So it could get a decent score. Again, I agree with you, Thomas, on probably not top 5, but still good. And just to go back to your comment on the build-up, like it does take ages. Like I said, oh, we're bringing in drama, and then I was like, instantly, I was like, not enough drama. It's just, it was so gradual that it felt a little bit like crawling to the end, rather than, like, I feel like the drama could have been brought in a lot sooner. Because
I'd be surprised if that was definitely 30 seconds of that really strong beat at the end that we all really enjoyed.
Probably not.
I think it was maybe 10 to 12 seconds.
Yeah.
That could have come in so much earlier for me.
I mean, like after the second chorus where the drama and the instrumentation kicks in, that could have came in so much sooner. You know, just,
and that was already over a minute and a half in when you said, oh, there's the drama. I checked the time and it was like, oh, we're already almost nearly 2 minutes in at this point. But that's also a funny fact that although it takes a very long time to get to the dramatic and part and the explosive ending, when I saw it was like, oh, we're nearly 2 minutes in, I was kind of surprised because I didn't feel like we were already 2 minutes in. So in that sense, there's still a sort of like a clever, I don't know, it's a tricky one.
It doesn't feel repetitive at any point.
No.
Even though the differences between the different choruses and the different verses were really subtle, it never felt like you were hearing the same thing again for me.
No, that's a very good thing.
Yeah, and that's sort of my point when we talked about Remember Monday, is a lot of the time it just feels quite repetitive. So I can fully understand that. This is an interesting one. I don't know where it's going to go in my ranking. Like my ranking is going to be a mess for a little while, I think, because there's just so much that we've had very recently. But no, this is impressive, and I think if they stage it thoughtfully, but also bring in the contemporary part for the staging sooner, it could be interesting. But I am also seeing like flashing lights in my head of being like, oh my god, they're going to ruin the staging. Like for some reason, I've got Denmark Riley's Love Song staging in my head. I'm like, like I could easily see them doing something like that, and just like.
That was kind of the thought process I had. Like, it would be amazing. I'd love it if they kept the paper boat and if they had that.
Yeah.
I really loved the video, honestly. I think it's a really imaginative idea, and I really liked it on the kind of really rough seas and stuff. But you're so right that if they go slightly the wrong way and it goes a bit Riley, I don't know how well that will then do.
Yeah, I think for something like this, it's that thoughtfulness in regards to the staging, isn't it? Because like, if you're just like, oh, let's just throw any old shit together, that's doesn't necessarily fit with the song. It's not going to work. We've said it many times. It's all about the package as a whole, isn't it?
But is Austria really? It's not like Austria is known for bad staging or anything. If we look at, and this is obviously a while back, if you look at Conchita Wurst, which is still one of the most impressive stagings that I've seen to date. A lot of it had also to do with the fact that it was a really cool stage in Copenhagen. But that was it was simple, but it was so effective. So in that sense, I'm not really worried. What I'm worried about most is not the staging, but more the fact that, and this is me coming back to Emma's point where you do the comparison with Nemo, because I talked about this on Blue Sky. It has a similar vibe to Nemo, especially when the beat kicks in. I don't think it's necessarily a copy of it. I don't really agree with that, but I do think it is similar in style. But what Nemo had was a poppy side that was very catchy. It was a very catchy tune. It was a catchy melody and a catchy chorus that you could just sing along after one listen. Even now, I don't remember for the life of me how the melody goes. Maybe I'm going to have to listen to it a couple of times more, and then it'll catch on for me. But right now, I think that's its biggest issue, is that, yes, it's impressive, but will you remember anything apart from the fact that the vocal was impressive at the end of the show when people really start voting?
That's a fair
I will
point.
definitely,
Absolutely.
like, Neil knows this about me, but I listen to the playlists constantly. So I have been listening to every single song in the car whenever I'm anywhere, and I'm constantly singing along to them. I can't sing along to this.
No.
And that's my job. I'm a professional musician.
Yeah.
And it's not something that I feel like I'm able to connect with. And I know that I like that maybe more casual viewers or casual listeners, that's not important much, but I think it needs something for people to latch onto to make sure that they do remember it during the show.
Yeah. And this is not the only strong vocal, isn't it, this year?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of great vocals already. So in that sense, he's going to stand out, but he's not going to be the only one standing out for that.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see where this goes and how this does. I think we can safely say this is a qualifier. I can't envision this not qualifying in terms of the impressiveness. But it's just at that grand final when people vote, there's 26 songs. What is it that's going to make them vote for this over something else? Like with the Code, yes, that only came fifth in the televote, but it had the sing-along thing that you spoke about, Thomas. It also had that authenticity, the story that people could connect with. Like, they maybe couldn't really connect with the understanding of being non-binary, but they could, the feeling of discovering yourself, and that's universal. So that was easy to catch on to. So yeah, I agree with both your points, and that could be a difficulty in trying to stand out in a bunch of 26 songs within the space of like 3 hours.
Yeah, no, exactly. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Yeah. And also, let's not forget, I've mentioned this before, but let's not forget that Nemo also, they didn't win the televote or anything. They came fifth, which is a pretty low ranking considering the fact that they won the contest. Usually the winner of the contest usually comes top 2 or top 3 with the televote. So that's saying a lot, that even with the these things, even with that universal message and even with the poppy feel of the song, it still had 4 songs ending before them, including France, I think.
That's exactly my point. That if that song that had people connecting to it still couldn't get up the televote scoreboard, how is this going to? And that's the intrigue I have. But yeah, I guess we need to see. Emma, do you have anything else you want to comment about JJ and Wasted Love before we finish up?
I think I've said all the things I want to say. Well done to JJ. That's what I will say. It's a very impressive display of vocal talent. And I really do look forward to seeing what they do when it's on the stage and kind of how they're presenting it and that full package. I'm really excited to see that. So huge best wishes.
We're getting closer. We're only 2 and a bit months away from seeing what happens in Basel. But remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and ring the notification bell, as well as visiting niallpois.com. And we've got another few reactions to come, so do keep your eyes open for those. I think there's some exciting songs in there, so it might be fun. And we will see you next time. And thank you very much, Emma, for joining us. We love you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.